Hey there, and welcome to today's Explainer. If you're the kind of focused learner who loves unpacking complex, mind-bending ideas straight from the source, well, you are definitely in the right place. Today we're taking a pretty fascinating philosophical journey together. We're going to explore source material that maps out a path from the very real threat of societal collapse right through a geometric model of consciousness known as the Diamond A Spire. And we're building up to a really crucial warning about the looming threat of artificial intelligence. It's a deep, structured dive, so let's just jump right in. Okay, let's kick things off with a question that honestly feels incredibly urgent right now. Is our society currently on the brink of collapse? I mean, think about it. Do you feel the pressure of inflation, rising fuel prices, global conflicts, the weird shifting dynamics of our supply chains? Our source text argues that we are absolutely standing at a crossroads. We can either keep frantically trying to revive a totally broken version of normal, or we can drastically change our course. To break this down, the author points to Jared Diamond's 5 classic triggers for the downfall of a civilization. We're talking environmental damage, climate change, hostile neighbors, decreased support from trade partners, and, this is the big one, how a society actually responds to its problems. The text suggests we are literally sitting in a perfect storm right now, where all 5 of these areas are converging at once. So, this isn't just some minor hurdle. This demands a complete ground-up revolution in how we think. Which brings us to Section 1, Society's Linear Scarcity Trap. To figure out why we're struggling so hard to respond effectively to these crises, we kind of have to trace our mindset back to a trap that is, believe it or not, about 4,000 years old. This old paradigm, which is heavily influenced by thinkers like Newton and Darwin, relies on a worldview that's entirely linear, separate, random, and completely driven by conflict and competition. The whole survival of the fittest mentality. But the source text proposes something called a New Earth mindset. Basically, we need to ditch that outdated, scarcity-based model and shift toward a new paradigm, one that is cyclical, integrated, systematic, and deeply rooted in cooperation and mutual service. Moving on to Section 2, Introducing the Diamond A Spire. Let's look at the foundational layer of this concept. The base gray diamond is a continuous cycle. You define a task, plan, develop, do, assess, reflect, learn lessons, and ultimately build character. Now, this gray diamond basically represents our status quo, and unfortunately, it's often driven by fear and scarcity. But structurally speaking, it applies to literally everything we do. Whether you're running a massive national political campaign, managing a global supply chain, or, hey, just making your morning cup of coffee, you are following this exact cyclical process. The problem isn't the cycle itself, right? It's the low frequency of fear that's constantly running through it. But here's where it gets interesting. The Diamond A Spire is not just some flat shape. It's a 3D, multi-level structure. The whole point is that we aren't meant to stay trapped down in that heavy, fear-based gray diamond at the bottom. The goal is to elevate. We're supposed to move up into the red diamond, which represents our physical 5-sense reality of hope, faith, and love. And from there, the structure points ever upward toward the green and blue realms of much higher consciousness and divine connection. All right, Section 3, the AI imitation threat. So the absolute crux of this issue is captured perfectly in this quote from the text. With the dawn of AI, we are outsourcing our creation to technology, books, art, music, design. The author is issuing a really critical warning here. By relying so heavily on algorithms, we are quite literally giving away our unique human role as creators. We strap on headsets, we lose ourselves in virtual realities built by programmers, and by doing that, we limit our physical senses and completely detach ourselves from true organic reality. Because you see, there is a massive difference between human inspiration and AI imitation. The source emphasizes that humans have this totally unique capacity to be inspired. I mean, actually think about it. That's literally where the word inspiration comes from. We can receive divine insights and adopt them to our specific, completely unique context. AI, on the other hand, merely imitates. It just mimics past human inputs. It learns language and patterns the exact same way a toddler does, purely through imitation. And we simply cannot afford to hand an imitating algorithm all the power over our inherent divinity. And here is the incredibly subtle trap: information overload. AI floods our mental field with endless data. The text argues that this overload actually stops the flow of genuine innovation dead in its tracks. Too much information just breeds doubt, fear, and anxiety. It totally disrupts our intuition and our imagination. The author notes very powerfully that fear kills more dreams than failure ever will. By keeping us glued to cold data and external algorithms, technology traps humanity down in that low-frequency gray diamond of fear, completely blocking the flow of new miracles from those higher realms we talked about. Which brings us to Section 4, the Green Diamond Gateway, and how we elevate our frequency in this age of robotics. To understand how we actually rise out of this, the text references Dr. Wayne Dyer's 4 stages of adult development. First, we start as the athlete, focused purely on the physical body and external rules. Then we become the warrior, entirely driven by ego and competition. But as we start to raise our vibration, we transition into the statesperson, focused on serving others and practicing gratitude. And finally, we reach the spirit stage, recognizing ourselves as infinite energy and true co-creators of our world. This beautiful, natural human journey of shedding the ego is an organic process that a machine simply cannot replicate. This evolution leads us directly into the green diamond. Operating at this level means learning to trust your heart way more than rigid algorithmic logic. The source beautifully describes how, at this frequency, we realize we are environt organisms, intimately connected to all of nature, the flower, the tree, the meadow. We're a part of all of it. And guys, this is exactly where the specific danger of robotics and AI lies, which is a huge focus of this chapter. AI threatens to completely sever this natural bridge. While humanity requires genuine organic gratitude and emotional resonance to access the divine, robotics run entirely on cold imitation. Integrating too deeply with these mechanical systems keeps us grounded in sterile, artificial environments, totally divorced from the living earth, and completely blocking our spiritual evolution. So what happens next? Let's look at Section 5, Humanity's New Story. The blue frequency is the ultimate goal here. The blue diamond represents the highest levels of human capability, consciousness, awareness, and vision. When we elevate to this divine frequency, it's not just about feeling better personally. We actually gain the capacity to completely rewrite our societal systems. Politics shifts from just managing the mistakes of the past to actively creating a vibrant future vision. Economics moves away from scarcity and controlled wealth transfer toward a system of true value-based exchange. We literally replace the old paradigm of fear with a new paradigm of love. We are standing at such a profound crossroads right now. We have an immediate choice to make today. We can either settle for the societal collapse we discussed at the very beginning, just handing our sovereignty over to algorithms and fear, or we can actively choose to create a new, abundant trajectory, a true future. The author reminds us that right now, on this planet, there are 8 billion beautiful, unique, unfolding human stories. Each one of you listening right now is the main character of your own lived experience, filled with emotion, context, and a divine spark. None of these 8 billion stories can ever be authentically replicated, felt, or truly lived by an AI algorithm. The text quotes an ancient proverb that says, "Where there is no vision, the people perish." But you know, the positive inverse of that is absolutely true as well. Where there is vision, people prosper. It is time to stop waiting around for external saviors, whether that's a politician, a massive corporation, or some shiny new piece of technology. We have to return to our personal sovereignty and our collective vision. And this is the ultimate call to action from the source material. Aspire. Raise your vibration. Trust in your inherent worthiness to receive abundance. Step away from the glowing screens, the cold robotics, and the virtual illusions, and fully embrace your internal essence. You are the diamond aspire. So, I want to leave you with this provocative thought as we wrap up today's explainer. Will you remain trapped in the linear, fear-based systems of the past, letting yourself be easily manipulated by information overload and the cold mechanics of technology? Or will you do the hard, beautifully human work to raise your consciousness and actually rise to your true potential? The choice of what story we write next is entirely up to us. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive, and keep learning.